this one or?
Okay. We're currently in Herzliya, which is north of Tel Aviv. We haven't had any specific sirens geared for Herzliya, but there have been people like hearing echoes of sirens from like Tel Aviv and Ramat Aviv, which is like a northern suburb of Tel Aviv. Our streets are it's sort of like eerie. It's like people are still walking around continuing their daily lives, but every time there's like a siren, you see people picking up their phones, calling family, calling friends, making sure they're okay. There's sort of like an air of worry, but people also have to continue on with their lives.
Yeah, totally. And how long are these sirens going on for? And I mean, how often throughout the day are they occurring in Herzliya?
Well, in Herzliya we haven't had any yet.
You just hear sort of like the echoes from some of the neighboring cities.
Like Tel Aviv and Holon, which is south of Tel Aviv.
Got it. What exactly, I mean, in terms of like the Israeli government, what are they telling you guys? Are you guys in touch since you have American backgrounds? Are you in touch with like the American embassy, or do you go directly to like the Israelis to find out what's going on? How are you getting your information?
Well, I mean, we're really involved. Like, we are pretty up to date with the news. The Israeli radio is very good about there's a siren here, there's a siren there. Everyone's very up to date for the most part. I'm personally registered with the U.S. State Department as a citizen living abroad, so I get emails almost daily from them that are sort of like, be aware of your surroundings, telling, like, they said that some of the U.S. officials that are working near Gaza, are trying to avoid transportation unless necessary, that they're basically just to be aware. I got an email saying, like, if you're a visitor in Israel right now, ask your hotels about bomb shelters, like, just know where everything is, know what's closest to you. There's not really much else.
Yeah. What have you guys...
All we just do...
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying, all we do is pretty much just read the news, keep up to date over here on what to do next throughout the days, and that's really it.
So what have you guys heard today in the news? The last time I checked before I left my house this morning, I heard that another missile was fired at Tel Aviv, but it was shot down, and that was the only update that I heard this morning.
It was shot down over Tel Aviv, but the pieces landed in that city I told you about called Holon, and it hit like a car or two.
And it caused a fire on the car.
But everyone's okay, right?
Yeah, there was also missiles in like Ashdod, Ashkelon, some of the cities closer to the south. I believe in Ashdod there were about 15 missiles fired within 5 minutes, I think I read.
Yeah, in Ashkelon, I read this morning that 2 people were injured from a rocket that hit also.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so there's basically, I mean, and just so you know, we have like a little text chat inside our chat rooms here, so if you look at the bottom, there's basically being rockets fired everywhere. That's really what it boils down to, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay, so I think what would be great to know, honest, like, and maybe you can give me, as Americans, you can give me your answer, and then kind of give me the general answer you think of most Israelis over there. What's like the general feeling that you have going on right now? Is it nervousness? Is it, are they feeling totally scared for their lives right now in terms of everything going on? How about like the 2 of you first, and then maybe give me your take on like your friends who are Israelis and stuff.
Sure. So from myself, this is my first time being in a situation like this, and I thought I'd be completely nervous, angst about it. But honestly, I just adjusted once I heard the news. I felt like it was always normal for me, and I knew how to do it normally.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I feel like, I don't know, when I decided I wanted to come to study in Israel, it was sort of something that, like, I thought a lot about. My parents warned me, like, you have to know, like, at any time you could have to face this. And I was also quite nervous, and I mean, it's nerve-wracking, especially we always thought, like, oh, it will never hit Tel Aviv, and we're north of Tel Aviv, so it's not So we thought we were really like, okay, out of danger. And from the time it started in Tel Aviv and like some of our neighboring cities getting sirens, it got like a little more nerve-wracking, but it's really just crucial to be aware of your surroundings. Like, you can't like shut down the entire country because nothing, like we're in school, everyone's like has to continue their lives. It's, for us, we're like based in the center of the country, so it's not impacting us as much, but the citizens in the south, it's like very scary. There's constant rocket fire, constant sirens. Really, it's like very difficult. From the Israeli aspect, I feel like a lot of them are sort of like, this is our lives, this is what we do to live here. I can only speak really for our friends that live close by. I know like some of my friends have been called in for reserves and haven't really talked to them much since they've gone, but people know that like it's a crucial fight. It's difficult, but it's not normal for citizens to have to live with rockets day after day after day after day, and if this is what it takes, then so be it.
I mean, I have a friend. Here's just a little recollection. Last Saturday, he's a medic. They call themselves Mada over here. He was down where all the action was happening. Literally every time, like he was working there, helping out people in need. Rockets just came like probably, as he said, like 150 meters close to him. And once he returned, like that same night, he just told me completely, like, he just wanted to, like, he served in the army. He just wanted to get called already. He had so much adrenaline, like adrenaline. He just wanted to go back and, like, do something good.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and so bottom line is that when these sorts of times roll around for Israelis, like, it's at the point when they have to just start defending their country, like, that's what it really all boils down to when they think that they're in danger, right?
Exactly.
Very cool. I mean, and for you guys, I mean, I don't know, I've only been to Israel once, but, you know, you got to be extremely brave for going through this. What I was going to say is, like, ultimately, though, these missiles and more of them, like you're saying in the south of Israel, like in Haifa and stuff, like, you know, their sirens are going off all the time, but ultimately, like, those same amount of missiles could be fired at you, right? I mean, if they're reaching you, and they're reaching Tel Aviv, like, they could probably make it to you guys, and just as many could probably go off around you also. So that could maybe, the situation could really intensify at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty sure that they didn't have missiles that would reach Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, and they already have, so we have to be constantly aware. We don't know what else they have. Like, you just have to...
I mean, it's always a possibility. But the thing is, we can't stop living our lives over this. Like, we have to keep going about as if we're all just living our lives the same way.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, because like yesterday we were speaking to a soldier who was telling us that the people who are in Tel Aviv, where the sirens are going off daily and almost hourly, are living in bomb shelters with food and television and water, and they don't even leave the bomb shelters. It's that bad over there.
Not gonna lie, I did buy half the grocery store the other day just to be prepared. But you just have to be you have to be aware. You have to keep up to date with the news. There's really not so much else that we can personally do.
Right.
So, I mean, honestly, it's not a bad transition, and this is part of what, you know, we really wanted to talk about as well. And like, our website is really about, you know, bringing certain issues to the proper forefront and like getting the attention they deserve. And so, since you kind of mentioned the news, like, what is the overall feeling right now in Israel in terms of, you know, the amount of PR they get? You know, ultimately, like, these rockets have been landing in Israel for, you know, weeks and months now, you know, constantly every day for the most part. And like, at one point in time when Israel decides to defend itself about, you know, regarding these missiles, that's when the news decides to, you know, bring about the attention on this matter. And so, you know, what's like the feeling of that? Because our soldier yesterday really gave us some insight. You guys have an opinion on how that works and the amount of, you know, sometimes negative PR that they receive for defending themselves?
I mean, we're getting a lot of negative a lot of negative critiques from many different news networks. I'm not going to put out any names. I think everyone knows already who's saying what. But all we can do right now is we're just trying our best to shine a light on what's really going on here. We're trying to show through social media that all the lies and what's really true out there.
I know that I was watching an interview yesterday on a very big news station, and they were in Gaza, and they showed like an area that Israel had just targeted where Hamas was launching rockets from, and they said like, "Wow, look how close this is to different to a school and a mosque and like different civilian places." And it was weird to me because it's like a news company that's known for bias against Israel, and they were talking pretty much. They were trying to give it in the sense that it was like Israel attacked this area and it's so close to civilians. But it's really sad that like if you take a step back and look at it, it's like Hamas pits these rockets. They launch these rockets from like areas where there are civilians because it's not realistic for Israel to not respond. I'm sorry, like it's like they're citizens. They have to protect them, and to take out a place where there were rockets being launched, it's really depressing that like Hamas is intentionally locating these places inside huge civilian populations. It's like to cause casualties, it feels like, and it's really depressing like that they're using their citizens as human shields.
Right.
I mean, the first picture of all this, the first launch site picture that we found out that through the IDF, it's pretty much just telling about what the army is doing at the moment through different social media sites and everything. That their launch site was in the middle of where they were hiding everything in 4 different buildings, all their rockets, all their weapons, and they were hiding them in mosques, playgrounds, hospitals, civilian residents, everything.
Right. So
And
Hamas is
those are our targets. Pretty much.
Hamas is essentially just using innocent civilians to kind of prevent Israel from defending themselves. And even in the U.S. news, if you watch it, they kind of just say, "Oh, this is going to be difficult for Israel because they're going to have to go in, and whether they attack by ground or air, the areas they have to attack are highly populated." They don't necessarily say that Hamas is doing this on purpose and they're launching missiles from playgrounds and schools and mosques, and they just kind of frame it as if Israel is going to have a difficult time because they're deciding to go in and attack in highly populated areas. They don't really tell it exactly like that.
Yeah, and also like Israel's taken many steps to try to avoid it. You know, in the long run, they need to take out these areas because it's causing civilians day-to-day damage. Even if it's not as many deaths, it's like mental warfare on citizens of Israel. But Israel's sent text messages, they've dropped flyers, they've made phone calls to citizens in Gaza saying, like, we're going to be attacking Hamas, like, locations. Like, please evacuate if you live close to them. Like, there's not really much else they can do. It's not realistic for the Israeli army to go in and take each person out one by one.
Right.
Considering that Hamas is everywhere.
Right, that's true.
And, like, there's really not much else that they can do.
So you said there's some other things that you think the news really doesn't portray well. Is there any other things that come to mind immediately that the news could do a better job reporting on? Such as human shielding. They kind of leave that out and just kind of say Israel is attacking and they're going to be killing innocent civilians if they do attack. Is there anything else that you guys feel should be said in the news that isn't?
I think human shielding's the biggest one. But ultimately, I don't know, just the fact that not even as much, like, it's the human shielding, it's the using hospitals to launch rockets, it's the, like, the fact that we sent, like, the text messages, like I was saying about, and yesterday there were a bunch of Israelis that got text messages from Hamas that said, I'm trying to remember the exact wording, but it was something like, we're going to turn Gaza into a cemetery for your soldiers, and Tel Aviv is going to be aflame.
Wow.
And it's like, we're sending text messages saying to your citizens, like, evacuate. We're, like, trying to limit as many casualties as possible. And their goal is to destroy us, and our goal is to destroy Hamas as, like, so that our civilians can live daily, and theirs just seems to be to take out all of us.
Right. And just on that point, I read a quote yesterday, or actually I saw it on CNN, where it was saying, this is a quote directly from Hamas, saying, Hamas loves death just as much as Israel loves life. So it's just showing that no matter what Israel tries to do, whether they want peace or willing to stop fighting, Hamas is just not willing to do anything but kill.
Well,
ultimately, Israel is a democratic society that tries to uphold democratic values as much as possible. It's a little difficult every now and then with the balancing being a religious state, but like Israel's striving to be a democracy as a new state and balancing religion, whereas I don't know, Hamas was technically democratically elected, but I don't see them trying to uphold any democratic values.
No, they just
such as
brings about this crazy humanitarian crisis that would be interesting to talk about. I don't know how much you want to talk about it now, but it's just ultimately they're brainwashing their children, which is wild. I mean, the fact that you have 3-year-old kids suited up in armor and stuff and guns, and that's their holiday though that they send to friends around the area, and then they're using these kids as human shields from sniper attacks and stuff. It just brings about this crazy humanitarian crisis that I mean is very similar to stuff that goes on in Syria right now. Just it's totally unhumane, and the fact that that stuff doesn't even get discussed. I mean, just because it makes zero sense in this day and age why that sort of shit would be happening. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense at all. And it's crazy for those kids that are losing their lives, let's say at 6 or 7 years old, and becoming just part of a whole media political just message that gets sent around the world, basically Israel versus Palestine, yet these 5-year-old kids are losing their lives for practically no reason because of some, I think it just seems like some religion is just totally whacked out these days. I don't know, it just doesn't really make much sense to me, especially when there are certain Arab leaders that have talked about their religion just taking a turn for the worst of late, and it just makes zero sense what goes on in terms of just total killings and brainwashing children into killing, and just thinking that that's totally right. It makes no sense.
I mean, by the end of the day, these kids are just becoming martyrs for this whole how do I say this, organization that literally just wants Israel off the face of the map. They don't want a land. They don't want Palestine at all. They just want Israel off the map.
So it's not a war. It's not about land by any means at this point. It's totally. If the news would portray the picture of what's really going on in terms of the whole humanitarian flaws that are just totally being obstructed and stuff, this isn't even about land at this point. It's not about negotiating certain territories for prisoners and stuff. This is without a doubt just about a total attack on any Jews or people that live in Israel ultimately, because I mean this happens to, I mean it's obviously primarily aimed at Jews because it's a Jewish state, but I mean it's really aimed at anyone. I mean there was missiles fired off and landing in Jerusalem, which is not only an incredibly holy Jewish area, but an incredibly holy Arab Muslim area, with crazy pieces of history behind them, and they're just totally their whole logic is just flawed. It's just crazy to even think about that's really what's going on, and yet that's not what gets talked about. It's talking about land and all this.
Yeah, that's also
it's really sad.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's been all this. Sorry. I think it's really sad how for years and years before the establishment, often there were times where Jews and Muslims lived together in peace, and the two religions are very similar, and it's important to point out it's the extremists, and it's not there are many moderate Muslims in America and all over the world, and it's really sad to point that we as Israel we want to we would love to live in peace. We've offered land for peace time and time again, made different concessions, different possible ideas, but ultimately how on earth can we live side by side in some peace and if we do establish 2 states one day, like, how is it possible when the neighboring, like, country, so to speak, wants us wiped off the face of the map? And, like, how are we ever supposed to negotiate with such people when their goal seems to be just not for, like, peace in general, but for our piece of land, or for us just not to be there?
Right, and back to Max. I mean, I completely agree. And just back to Max's point, like, we didn't know that rockets had been shot at Jerusalem, which is supposed to be the Holy Land, until we spoke to the soldier we spoke to yesterday. So things like that are that important aren't even. I mean, I don't see on the news here. We had to learn about that from the soldier that we spoke to.
I mean, the rocket was intended for Jerusalem, but I heard different reports saying that it wasn't, like, it didn't have enough, enough power to make it there.
Right, okay.
It landed in Gush Dan, which is quite close to Jerusalem, though.
Exactly.
And it's actually in the West Bank. And I just, like you were saying, I feel like it's so hard to believe, like, Jerusalem's a holy city for all three major religions.
Exactly.
And the fact that they're sending rockets aimed for Jerusalem, which, like, they've, like, it's supposed to be so holy for them, it's really, like, sad to see that, like, it's more important that, like, another Jew might die, like, another infidel might die, rather than that they care about the city that's also one of their holiest.
Right, and that just doesn't make sense to me at all, to be attacking a piece of land that each one of those religions share equally and that represents their holy land.
Well, I mean, this just shows pretty much that they'll do anything to win in the end, or whatever they call winning.
Right. What do you think? What do you think they call winning? Just annihilating the entire Jewish population?
That's what I think they call winning.
I hope not, but
I mean, I think
don't.
It's definitely an impression that when you talk to first-hand accounts such as yourself, it makes it really seem like that. And I mean, there are just these crazy YouTube videos that are out there that like have only like a few thousand views, and I'm just like, these are like just telling the story of what the hell goes on over there. I mean, what's also crazy that I thought would be like worth mentioning, because I mean, ultimately that's kind of what I mean. We want Vonvo to kind of be a community where these opinions and this sort of like inside knowledge can be shared. So I mean, like, what about the fact that countries like Egypt are just getting billions of dollars from our country, America, and I mean that sort of money is getting funneled into these sort of these terrorist organizations like Hamas, backdoor dealing. Who knows how the money actually gets there? But without a doubt, there can certainly be ties, from let's say the Muslim Brotherhood Party in Egypt to different parties in Iran, and then that's ultimately getting channeled into Hamas. It's like, isn't like that sort of idea just crazy? The fact that this money like is somehow making its rounds and turning into missiles that get fired into Israel for no reason whatsoever.
It's really difficult. Also, like, the whole situation in general, like, I mean, with Iran right now, there's not much money. There's no money coming in from America, but the fact is that the longest range missiles, I think they were called Fajr 5, were Iranian missiles, and like they keep putting all this pressure on us not to attack Iran and like to hold off as long as possible. And I mean, I can't speak on behalf of the military, but in my opinion, the fact that Iran's handing Gaza rockets is like a bit of them starting to like attack us. And I don't know, there's a lot of money of foreign aid that's being sent from all over the world to go into the Gaza Strip, and I know that there's food and stuff taken in every day from Israel, and the fact is, like, I'm wondering where all the money is going, because all I'm seeing is different Hamas structures and different Hamas rockets, and the reason that there's less deaths on the Israeli side is not at all because of, like, disproportionate, like, force, because it's more that Israel's allocating its money appropriately, that, like, the number one concern is the safety of the civilians. That means arming the army properly, building bomb shelters, making sure, like, everyone is, like, the different things distributed, like, just ensuring that everyone's prepared for such attacks. Whereas, clearly, that's not the situation in Gaza. They're busy building rocket launching sites in the middle of civilian populations. And I'm wondering where all this international money is going.
But here's something you won't hear on the news. today, a friend of mine told me that there was a report, she actually showed me this, that Israel had sent in medical supplies, food, all different kinds of aid to the people of Gaza.
Right.
Yeah, that, and they, I mean, it's their territory, Gaza, like it's like whatever, private, little territory, or it's like a separated country, but obviously, like, in terms of, plenty of the funding and aid that goes into, and all the distribution channels that go in and out of Gaza, like, there's got to be like half of it's coming directly from Israel. Like, I mean, it's not like they not try and take care of them and like the warnings that they give them that they're attacking these certain places, but it's just the fact that they're placing their arms and their bombs and stuff in these, civilian areas, that then when they get attacked, it just makes it look like a whole PR scam of, Israel just, being the bad guys, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the soldier we were speaking to told us that Israel, the hospitals by the border, if people are hurt in Gaza, no matter who they are, Israel has opened up the hospitals and to help out victims and Palestinians. They're willing to help those people. Their mission is not to kill civilians and other people. It's just to defend their country, and they don't want to be in war.
And we're not fighting a battle against Palestinians. Like, Israelis, time and time again, many will tell you that they would love to live side by side in peace, but we're fighting against Hamas, like this terror organization, who's committing such war crimes by using the people as human shields and by launching consistent rockets. And like you said, like, Israel's opened their hospitals, and they did, and like previous offensives too, and it's because we're trying to stop the consistent rocket fire, not that there's nothing like geared at the people of Gaza, like of the Palestinian people. It's geared towards taking out Hamas.
And I mean, Hamas has one of Hamas's best tactics is brainwashing people of Gaza, which makes the Israeli army's job even harder.
Right.
So I mean, go ahead, Alan.
Well, say what you're saying, Max. I had a different question.
All right. What I was going to say is, as like Americans, I thought it'd be interesting to hear from you what you think, like, our country should be doing about it. Like, what do you think the move is, being there, and what would you say, the move is for how should America act in this whole process right now?
Well, in my opinion, I think America should be there in order to strive for a way that we could end this conflict even faster.
I was very impressed by how quickly, from the start of this, that the White House issued support statements and has consistently said that, like, we're behind Israel. We believe Israel has the right to defend itself, and I would really hope that they can get as involved in a potential peace process as possible, because
exactly.
Ultimately,
does it just together?
Do you guys have any idea how this works? I mean, like, ultimately, does it just come down to removing Hamas from, their leading position as like the leading political party in Palestine? And like, do you have any idea how the hell that happens? Like, because if everything's getting closer to them, then that's where it all stems from, and that's what needs to be taken out of power, it seems, right? So how the hell do we do that, or how does that happen?
I mean, the Palestinian people seem to be, like, for what would be a future Palestinian state, seem to be spread between the West Bank and Gaza, and those in the West Bank are, like, the main political party there, I believe, is Fatah, which is not nearly as extreme. And in Gaza, it's Hamas. It's gonna be, like, I don't know, it's difficult because when we had citizens living in Gaza until 2005, I think it was. Yeah. We forcefully, like, had to pull them because we were giving the land up for peace. And when we were living there, we, like, had tons of exports going out of Gaza. We were, like, making quite a bit of money from, like, just things going in and out of Gaza. And, like, we took out most of our, like, plants and stuff. I believe we left them with, like, an orchard or something to, like, help start up with business. And it's all been destroyed because the money's not going to, like, sustaining the people and like, building a profit. It's going to attacking us. And it's very difficult because we can't say that, like, if you take out Hamas, it's going to be the end of it, because now there's been this whole process of brainwashing and a whole generation that thinks that Israelis and Jews are like the spawn of Satan. But it's definitely a start to, like, Hamas, in my opinion, is definitely the biggest problem.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's small ones to be worked on.
It's,
I mean, it's a people
it's a
of
known terrorist organization. Like, throughout. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Yeah, thanks. I was just saying that if the people of Gaza can see what Hamas truly is, then I think we can come to a conclusion even faster.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, it's wild because it's like similar like an Al Qaeda or something is like known throughout the international community and like through international law or whatever. It's like literally labeled as a terrorist organization. Like Hamas is the same way, but yet like that point like doesn't get nearly emphasized enough. And it's like just the fact that we're even having this, like the fact that it's even a debate within the media of like what actually goes on here. And even as like the Israeli soldier said yesterday, he was like, there's two sides to every story. So, and a Palestinian, if we get him on Vonvo, which we're happy to do also, like they could have a totally different, angle on this. But I mean, just from the outside looking in, and if you really dig deep into what the hell goes on here, like, I mean, a terrorist organization that's sending missiles into civilian Israeli communities, like it's pretty self-explanatory at that point. And then when you dig deep into the facts of where they're hiding in Gaza, their missiles and stuff, and why that's turning into like civilian Palestinian deaths, like you just have to dig deeper. But it's right there; it's literally in front of you. You just need to like actually open up your eyes to it. I feel like.
Can you guys tell me a little more about your mission and what you guys have been doing with social media to really get some more knowledge out to people?
Of course. So what we've been doing is this. For the past 4 or so days, we've been coming together, working under an organization called Hasbara, which has given our school the right to create this sub-organization called Israel Under Fire. You can find us on Facebook or Twitter. But what we do is this. We spread content that we find on net that's being used against Israel, which comes up as under fire. And we just show what they really are for the truth. We show what's going on with the conflict now down south. And we just want to make sure that everyone around the world understands what is the real 110% truth.
It's really quite a sight, actually. We have people from in all different languages. We've got people translating. We've been reaching out to different like communities, like pro-Israel communities all over to help us spread the news. And it's been like quite an experience to be involved with.
And you guys literally started, I mean, that sounds amazing. And you guys literally started this 4 days ago, or it's been something you guys have worked on in the past?
Since
Wednesday, was it?
Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah, Thursday.
Can you guys do me a favor and type the actual name of the organization in the text box below so we can have people go to that site?
Yeah.
Sure, just 1 second, hold on.
And what type of material do you put up there that you're trying to spread the truth about?
We find photos that maybe Hamas has taken from different countries and said this is their own people, and we take those photos and we write next to them like, no, we disprove that this isn't really their photo, that this is from a different conflict around the world that we're not involved in at all whatsoever.
And we've also been doing a lot of things like spreading, like there's a lot of groups that have sprouted trying to spread the truth, and we've been like sharing all different content, and it's been very interesting researching everything.
But honestly though, it's just really all about not listening to the giant media organizations, listening from the people at first hand.
Right, and that's exactly,
no matter Israeli, international, whatever.
Right, and that's the exact mission we're trying to promote here, where we want people such as yourselves who are experiencing these events on a first-hand basis to come and share your stories, rather than everyone rely on the mainstream media who doesn't tell this information or doesn't analyze certain propaganda that the other people are utilizing, and that's exactly what we're trying to do here.
Exactly.
We're happy to be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, what would you say? Like, what would be the message that you'd want to like? I mean, because we kind of, you know, to have you guys on again, and any other individuals, by all means. Like, we can clearly make this the forefront of what Vonvo is doing, because we just launched like 2 months ago, also. So, but basically, like, what would be your message that you want to send to people around the world that could end up watching this video and like know what is really going on over there? What would be your message?
Well, I'll go first. The message that I feel like I want to tell people is never have a voice of your own. You need to just be there firsthand, and just be there to help those that just need to understand that peace is the main goal in life.
Yeah.
I would say basically that one of the main things people need to understand, like we said time and time again, is that it's not an attack on the Palestinian people, that it's an attack on Hamas, and that ultimately we're doing it for, like, that this is all stemmed from the sake of, like, our civilians being able to live peacefully and quietly, and that people just really need to pay attention to, like, all media sources, because clearly some have biases in different directions, and it's very important to just really be informed, not just through one source.
Yeah. And I think honestly, the whole getting the first-hand perspective, and you guys who are actually in the country and really know what's going on, that's what it's got to be about, and that's like exactly what we want Vonvo to turn into, and we want this to be a platform for you guys, people that are helping you out, to use, and we can spread the word. And I mean, ultimately, just so you guys know, like, right now there could be up to hundreds or thousands of people listening to our conversation. So it's just us three today, but tomorrow or the next day, we can turn this into a real a chat room where people can actually be listening to this and know exactly what the hell's going on.
Of course.
Very cool.
All right. So, Alex, any other quick things you want to bring up? You guys want to share anything else that is on your mind relating to this?
No, I mean, I would just thank you for your time, and I definitely respect what you're going through, and stay safe, and we appreciate you coming on here and sharing your experiences. So if you guys want to get in touch again over the next couple of days and give us some updates of what's going on, we'd appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much, and we'll speak soon for sure.
All right.
All right, thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.